So it's not every day a former Secretary of State, that's the number 3 person in the entire American government, just comes out and admits that there's a massive cover-up of anything, and yet here we are, Hillary Clinton admitting that the U.S. government is covering up the Epstein Files, folks.
Yeah, and of everyone out there who would know a cover-up if she saw one, it would definitely be Hillary Clinton.
Yes, it would, especially considering that her husband is all up and through the files with all kinds of photos and whatnot.
Okay,
it's bad.
yeah.
What I loved about the BBC interview, so I think many Americans didn't see the actual full BBC interview, right? It is available. But it was so interesting to see the comparison between what the BBC interview showed in terms of photographs when they were introducing the interview. And they were literally photographs of Bill Clinton with Epstein, with young girls in like hot tubs, with Michael Jackson. It was like they did not hold back.
The Michael Jackson stuff was really fucking weird. It was like, oh shit, there's this really weird face that we haven't seen in a really long time.
Exactly. But then when you look at the CBS version where they basically did a clip from the BBC interview, they introduced it with photographs of Bill and Hillary Clinton together looking very presidential,
regal.
very regal. There was nothing. And it was like, dudes, you're talking about fucking pedophilia here.
Right.
We're talking about, young girls being trafficked.
And it's not like the incriminating photos are not there or available.
That's what's in the files.
They're all available. And that's the part, particularly of the CBS version of this particular story, which was really damning because to me, you have the evidence right there. Just use it. It is publicly available. You don't even have to do a FOIA request. It's right there. Just take it. Just use it.
I mean, they are bringing people in to start having these hearings, right? So we know the Clintons are going to be doing a closed door hearing, and the Clintons are, to their credit, are saying no. We want this to be widely recorded, shown, make it live. So I think Hillary Clinton. She's still a fucking badass. She really is. I mean, I know you're rolling your eyes a little bit, like, because the Clintons have so much baggage and clearly Bill Clinton's all through the files, but she's like, this is a fucking cover up. They're slow walking it, she said. She told them they should be releasing all of it. She's like, dump all of the files out.
Yeah, because there's still 3 million that have not been released by the Department of Justice.
But the thing
currently.
I'd say, if you watch the full BBC interview, not just the clips from it, you'll see anyone that's done media training understands the pivot, right? When you go in there and I've got one message to share, that's it. I'm not going to, if they can ask me, what color am I wearing? I'll talk about, isn't it sunny today? Like whatever, the pivot. She basically was asked, full on, do you regret that you and Bill had such proximity to either Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell? And she basically said, and I think it was kind of referring to those photographs of him with Epstein in the spa pool and all that sort of stuff, basically turned around and said, they were away on a trip. There were many people there, and it was for philanthropy. And that's what she kept pivoting to constantly. It's all about philanthropy. And it's like, dude, he's in his fucking swimmers next to what looks like a 12-year-old. What are we talking about here?
See, and it goes back again to a thing that I've said many times, which is very simple. If I'm at a party or I'm on a trip with a bunch of people and there are unaccompanied minors about, right? Like, I don't know whose children these are. I don't see your mom and them nowhere. I don't see nobody there. You ain't nobody's niece or nephew or nothing. I'm getting out the pool and going home. All right? Yeah. I'm not going to be in the photos because I ain't there.
Right. You weren't there to begin with.
I wasn't there to begin with. And that's what I'm saying. So it's regardless of if they were there for philanthropy or not, the fact that the photos exist, again, outside of the context of listen, we can't say that you can never appear in a photo with a kid ever. We know that's just not possible. However, there are certain contexts. I'm not going to be in a hot tub with
Make
a
sure
kid.
they're wearing clothes, Norris.
That's what I'm
make
saying.
Sure they're wearing clothes.
But I'm not going to be in a hot tub with any child anywhere.
So to what point do you think, though? Like, so Hillary is doing the pivot, like you said. Why then are they so adamant about live hearings and releasing all of the files?
I mean, we don't know. I don't know. But what I will say to you is listening to that full interview, my takeaway was definitely, if she had have just said, hey, look, yeah, I wished he hadn't have been in that situation. Like it's ridiculous, and looking back on it, like it's a long time ago. Whatever, just fucking just a tiny little bit of like regret, I think would be helpful, because a comment about the photos was also that, oh, if we had a penny for every photo that's been taken of us with other people, we'd be rich.
Oh boy.
I'm like,
First of all,
first of all,
you
you
are.
are. Yes.
First of all, you are. Second of all, again, there is y'all. We gotta have court vision here, right? We gotta be able to use our brains. All right, our spidey sense. Okay, everybody knows sometimes your spidey sense tingling. We done all been to a party where we a little bit too old to be at the party. Okay, we're all grown enough to have experienced that. All right.
I do not need another reason to feel old.
But that's not the point.
don't.
First of all, you be blessed you made it this far.
Thank you.
Second of all, the point is that we all get that spidey sense. And if you don't have it, there's a problem. Go to therapy, right? Because that's really important.
Release all the files, get it all out there, air every single person that's in there, whether they're a Democrat or Republican, Independent, or King of Sheba. Don't fucking care.
You know what? I want to say this very firmly. I don't care, and none of us here care about what party affiliation you have.
truth.
If you have abused children, you need to be in prison, period. Now, with that said, welcome everybody to The Point of Disorder. I'm your host, Norris Howard, for today, joined alongside the intrepid crew.
Adrienne here.
I'm Julie.
And we hope that you all can follow us on all of our great social medias. That's on Instagram and we're on Threads now too. I also want to mention that.
Oh my God, that's exhausting.
All the other platforms, YouTube as well, where you can see our beautiful faces. And you can follow us at Point of Disorder or at Distill Social or at The Guerrilla Politic.
And I want to give a little quick shout out. If you like, follow, leave a comment, because all of those types of things help us in terms of YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So please leave a comment. Give us a 5-star review, please. If you don't like us, then, well, fuck off.
Well, leave a comment anyway, because it helps the algorithm. And
that's
we
true.
we sometimes read people's comments here on the air, like today.
Absolutely. And we actually have a big event coming up. We are actually going to be at the State of the Union this year. So we will be recording next week's show from Washington and giving you the lowdown on what we all heard and discovered. And so if you guys want your questions asked to some of the most powerful people in the free world, let us know what you are curious about. Again, you can leave your comments on any of our social media. And really excited for that.
I'm not going to lie. I'm having FOMO. You're all going without me. And I would like to sit in the State of the Union with my arms crossed and not stand up or applaud. Completely straight-faced.
Yeah, I'm contemplating, do I wear black or not?
Oh, yeah. Why
But,
wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think I should. But, I want us to pivot back to the CBS thing because, Julie, you brought up CBS. That was the sort of companion story to the BBC interview with Hillary Clinton. And I think it's really important to begin talking about this because CBS is retaining some of their talent, even though they have connections to Epstein as well.
Yeah, it's very much, what did Barry Weiss say, who is obviously the head of CBS?
And apparently a woman. And I didn't know that till this morning.
I didn't know it was
Are you serious?
apparently-
Yes. I didn't know that Barry Weiss was a woman. I know. My bad. This is not a news show. We're not journalists. You're a journalist. I'm not a journalist.
Okay, fair. But basically, her statement is that CBS and its affiliates will not fall victim to the cancel culture. And I'm like, bro, is it 2015 again?
Yeah.
Like, are we still
We
talking
wish.
about? Like,
We wish
are
it
we?
was
But are we
2015
still
again.
really having a conversation about cancel culture? And by the way, no, we're talking about people who have committed crimes against children.
Yes.
Okay? There's not a cancel thing involved in that. There is, we need to know, and that's it.
There's right and wrong.
There's right and wrong.
And there's dark woke. It's no longer cancel culture. It's now dark woke.
That's right.
Well, also, I mean, don't you think as the leader and someone that runs a large organization like that's responsible for it, don't you feel like it's somewhat irresponsible to have someone like that on your team anyway? I mean, surely it has to be fucking bad for business, but it's irresponsible to have someone, I would think, like that in the realms of your business.
Well, at bare minimum, the person shouldn't be allowed to be in the editorial room when people are writing the editorials about what's happening in the Epstein files,
Right.
even if this person was retained, because again, not everybody named in the files is accused of crimes, and we must also be very clear about that. But there was enough connection for this person in question for there to be a moment of pause in the editorial room. And to your point, Julie, why have that? You know, why have it?
I think what's interesting about this, that CBS has decided to retain Peter Attia,
Yes, that's what we're
is
talking
that suddenly you're seeing high profile folks who are leaving the network. So Anderson Cooper has said, hey, I'm going to peace out from 60 Minutes, where he had like a cooperative partnership with CNN.
For 20 years.
Yeah, for a long time, because now he's saying, well, I want to spend time with my kids. So
Nah, he trying to. Man. That's not why. That's not why.
yes.
And I mean, listen, I'll say this: Anderson Cooper has for a very long time been a journalist I've had a lot of respect for, because this is one of the he's the OG war zone.
he's a Vanderbilt.
Yes, he is. Yes,
okay.
he is, and he
Yes.
has that privilege. But privilege don't stop a bullet going into your head.
Truth.
Yeah.
So to put yourself in war zones and report on these things still takes a certain amount of courage. I think he's stepping away from this because he knows that he's going to be editorially hamstrung.
Right.
There's a certain amount of reporting he's not going to be able to do, and to a journalist, that is gross.
And that's what 60 Minutes, that's what it's been all about for, the last year since they took over CBS. And the other thing that happened recently too is Stephen Colbert. They were told the Stephen Colbert show that they're not allowed to interview Texas State Rep James Tallarico. And Stephen Colbert's like, "Fuck you! I'm going to YouTube.
I'm gonna just put it on YouTube.
I'm just gonna put it on YouTube, and we're gonna talk about it." So you can see the things that are happening at CBS, but I think Julie, picking up that thread around the Epstein stuff, they're covering things on CBS very differently than the rest of the world.
I don't think it's just CBS.
Yeah.
You watch. What channel is your
I
boyfriend
watch
on?
David Muir.
What channel's he on?
That's ABC.
And it is ABC, and it is starting to really get on my nerves too, because it's like, look at what plane crashed today, and look at this car chase, and it's like, what are we doing here?
So I've been thinking, and we've been discussing for a few weeks now, the different lens by which the media is covering the Epstein files and those that have been released since they've been released, basically. So if you're looking at international news and I'm talking about like your mainstream kind of media, I've got some examples in Australia, the UK, China, how they're covering it is really interesting in comparison to how it's being covered here. It's kind of going back to that example that I showed before of, BBC showing the photos of Clinton in compromising positions versus a CBS version, which was, very pure and very wholesome.
Yeah, and I just want to also iterate that there's a level of celebrity worship that we have here that also extends, unfortunately, to our politicians that I think does not exist in other parts of the world. And I'm not using that as an excuse. I actually think that's a significantly more intelligent way of doing things. But when you see just how they're covering not just the Epstein files of the bad actors in America, but even just the coverage of what's happening in Europe in particular, with, ambassadors and royals and people who are in high levels of government in, the Nordic countries and so on and so forth, that it just is people doing their jobs competently. And that's the part that's frustrating to me.
So I'm going to play now.
Included in the trove of distressing materials showing the deep connections between the rich and powerful are documents about his health woes. They reveal everything from the fact he'd been treated for several sexually transmitted diseases, including gonorrhea, also known as the clap, and had parasites, including roundworms. They show too that he was extremely worried about having low levels of testosterone, something he apparently had for decades. He wanted to know why. These levels were extremely low. We're talking less than half of what's considered to be in the normal range. It's a condition that can lead to infertility, though other documents in the drop suggest Epstein may have even fathered a child, with one email congratulating him on the arrival of a baby boy.
Okay, so half of that I didn't even know.
Yeah.
from here. Like, that's
You would have
bizarre,
never known. You would
Right.
have never
Because
known.
they're digging through that in Australia.
And that's like that's a newspaper organization that is, I can tell you, it's conservative. That is not a raving left. That's not the Guardian.
Right.
Right.
All right. This is from the UK.
Has known he's been doing this. His chief in 2006 about Jeffrey Epstein.
Sorry, this is not.
Document that was released in the latest batch of Epstein Files.
In the documents, the chief alleges that Trump called him after an investigation was launched into Epstein, telling him that everyone in New York knew he was disgusting. That was Michael Rater, who told the Miami Herald he received the call from Trump. The president has consistently denied any wrongdoing in relation to Epstein and said he didn't know about his crimes. The alleged call, though, is likely to raise further questions about what Trump knew and when. In 2019, when Epstein was arrested on sex trafficking charges, Trump told reporters he had no idea about Epstein's behaviour and had not spoken to him for years. In a statement to the BBC, a US Justice Department official said there is no corroborating evidence that Trump contacted law enforcement in 2006. And the White House press secretary also said this.
Look, it was a phone call that may or may not have happened in 2006.
The BBC has contacted Rater for comment.
okay.
That's the BBC. So I'm going to play the Chinese one now, okay?
Thousands of videos in order from Congress. And what have we learned? Well, Democrats accused the Attorney General of a cover-up. The Attorney General calls a senior congressman a washed-up loser lawyer. Victims sit in the room watching their accusers' names blacked out while their own names, their photographs, their suffering are leaked to the public. Welcome to accountability, Western style. For years, the Western elites, the Western men, have stood on what they call the moral high ground. They lecture other countries on human rights, on fair courts, on the worth of every person. They send diplomats to lecture former colonies about the rule of law, as if that law were a custom-made suit only for a rich man. So here's the uncomfortable truth the West does not want to face. The Epstein archive is not just one file on one criminal. It is a CT scan of the whole system, the courts, the banks, the politicians, even some academic institutions. Not evil in some movie sense, silent partners in real-world sense. Silent through doing nothing, through convenient forgetfulness, through the quiet belief that some men are too powerful to ever be brought down. And yet these same institutions continue to grade the rest of the world on human rights, continue to issue report cards on judicial reform, continue to act as if they're the world's moral judge. The lease on that high ground has run out.
Whoa. China, they're like, fuck you guys with your moral high ground.
Look, I mean, I think there's no doubt we all understand that China is not the beacon of fucking democracy,
Of
right?
human
we
rights.
get that, and human rights, we get that. But I just think it's I think what we need to focus on is the fact that they're actually, those clips showed us that internationally they're looking at it from a more real perspective. There is literally no whitewashing. It is like they're looking at it from what's actually in the files. So when we talk about they need to drop all the files, that frustrates me because I know it's important, but at the same time, if you just dump files like that all the time, without any context, without any investigation, a whole lot of shit gets washed up in that.
True.
And a whole lot of shit gets missed. I mean, there's millions. I mean, I heard someone say it would take a person sitting down constantly reading that years to be able to get through those 6 million files. So I think I said it last week, I'm going to fucking say it again, there needs to be an investigation.
It's got to be an independent investigation,
Correct,
something
exactly.
completely removed from the power apparatus. But again, as somebody who had to study all this kind of stuff, the American media system has done way more than a disservice. It is actively protecting these people.
Yeah.
Actively.
That is exactly right, Norris. And this is how I see it as well. It's like when, your boyfriend, David Muir, is just covering, whatever, the poor lady that got kidnapped for
Right.
for the millionth time.
Nancy
they've covered-
Guthrie.
Yeah.
Yes. That's what they've been leading with
That's
every night.
Silly kidnapping story. Listen, and
that's
listen,
sad. That's terrible, and we're sorry that that's
sure,
happening to them.
and that's
but
fine.
this shouldn't be the lead
and that's
story.
Fine, and that's fine. But we're talking about a massive. child abuse scandal. And I'll keep wanting to repeat that because, again, you had conservatives in this country that built their entire identity for the better part of a decade around we're here to protect children, whether it came to books, whether it came to trans rights, whether it came to LGBTQ rights in general, whether it came to the president, whoever. Everything was built around this weird veneer of we're just protecting the kids. And now we have copious amounts of evidence of some of the most powerful people in the world abusing children. And now it's just hey, so you should be driving a Kia. Like, what are we doing?
Right.
And I think also the part that we ignore, and I've heard very few people talk about this, is that, and I think one of the reasons why internationally they are diving so deep into it, is that we, from a national security perspective, remain vulnerable because we've got all this bloody kind of corruption happening. And I saw I think it was the Iranian leader or something come out and say, well, you do that to us, we've got shit on you. So basically there's so much opportunity for us to be more cribbery, basically.
Oh,
to happen.
absolutely.
It's scary.
Yeah, and not only that's such a good point you bring up from the national security perspective, because on top of that, now you have these powerful people in more powerful positions of government who now can have other stuff held over on top of them. Again, there was the whole thing about, the president being a Russian asset. That was the thing going around for years and years and years that people were saying. And now you do have to even just think twice about it. Even the concept of having to think twice about it is enough. And I think it is really important that we sort of reframe and relook at what America is doing from a moral perspective. And I'm a person all about moral relativism. There is no absolute truth. Yeah, there is. Well, don't touch kids is the absolute truth for me.
I mean, I think it's really interesting that, we've all said it's been a quote unquote slow news week, which is hilarious considering the moment that we've been in for the last year. It's just a constant.
That's because we've been in a washing machine.
We've been in a washing machine. We've been fire hosed with just constant shit. But in reality, it's not a slow news week. We need to keep talking and beating the drum about the Epstein Files and what's happening and what's happened to these young women and these girls. And I think it's important that our news coverage reflects that.
Yeah, 1,000%. And it just continues to be frustrating for me as a person that consumes and really actually loves watching and reading the news, that I do have to do that. Now I do have to continue to seek out these alternative sources because it sucks. But traditional news has become so untrustworthy.
It's compromised.
And compromised that, I hate to say it, maybe this was like the second thing MAGA was right about. Right? Like they were right about the fact that there is a cabal of hyper powerful pedos. They were right about that. Just pointed they just pointed the cannon in the wrong direction. They needed
should
to
have been
go
pointed
this
at
way.
all of the powerful people.
It was pointed in the wrong direction. But on the media part, it is becoming more and more clear that traditional media, outside of very strong personalities and strong writers, individuals, that the apparatus has absolutely been compromised. It's so frustrating.
Well, speaking of being compromised, there was something that came across my desk this week that was fairly kind of frightening. But there's articles out there stating that Reddit, Meta, and X are supposedly going to be releasing social media records and profiles of people who post anti-ICE content.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of people, right? A lot of people in our bubbles I know have shared, created, posted things about being anti-ICE. And I find that to be incredibly frightening. Like that you're going after people's First Amendment rights and your ability to post things online and talk freely on a podcast that you don't get paid for about what's happening out there.
Yeah. Now, this was originally reported by the New York Times a few days ago. And essentially what it said is that DHS is starting to subpoena these social media companies, essentially, specifically searching for people posting not attached to their real names, whether it be Finsta accounts or whatever, and then also accounts that were posting the location of ICE operations. So whether it be things like, the ICE Watch apps and things that we saw pop up, particularly in Minnesota over the last month or so, they were looking for that kind of stuff. But we'd be silly not to expect that to expand. And I think it's really important for us, and you said it very, very clearly, you have your First Amendment rights. You can say, if you look out your window, ICE is outside my window. There is nothing illegal about that. So do I think any actual trials or prosecutions could come from this that would be legally standing? Absolutely not. However, legality has gone out of the window with a lot of these folks. And I think it's really, really important for us to just be really, really vigilant on how we are approaching the situation, because it's very clear that DHS is going to start going after not just people speaking out about ICE, but these will be mostly American citizens saying this stuff.
And I think what's interesting, and I'm going to drag back the fact that so much of this and everything we've been talking about right now is on the basis of capitalism and money in politics. The only reason that we get frightened about the fact that what we put on social media might be going to the powers that be, and not for legal purposes. As you said, we have a First Amendment right. It is because money in politics means that, the owner of X, the owner of Meta, all have their hand in the White House. So capitalism,
finger in the pie.
That's right. Capitalism, number one. Number two, money in politics. Sorry, I always need to bring it back to that.
No,
but I think
it's
it's really clear.
It's absolutely true. And I don't think it's a mistake that attempts to sort of decentralize that via, things like Blue Sky have really not taken off in the same way. They just can't deploy the capital in the same way. However, again, I just want to reiterate that it's very important that people pay attention to something like this, because as human beings that exist within America's borders, I'm not going to say citizens because the Constitution applies to
everybody,
human being within America's borders, right? You have your First Amendment right. You cannot be arrested and politically prosecuted for speaking your mind. That is the law of the land, folks.
Yes.
So with that said, we are going to talk one more thing about ICE today, and that's the fact that here locally, ICE has purchased a massive warehouse that seems like they're going to be using as a detention center. This is going to be in Romulus. We alluded to it on last week's show, but now it looks like this is officially going to be happening. It's going to be within a stone's throw from Detroit Metro Airport.
Yeah, exactly. I saw this reporting the other night on our local affiliate, Channel 7, and they were interviewing a lot of community members about this. Like, overwhelmingly, the people they were talking to were like, we don't want this here. We don't want to see, human rights violations happening in our backyard. One person was talking about property values, right? But they were overwhelmingly like, we don't want this here. There wasn't a single person who said, yeah, ICE detention center sounds great right over there. But there was one dude that I do need to call out, because I was listening to him and I was like, are you kidding me right now? His major concern was that the traffic would be bad.
Bro, shut the fuck up.
He said the traffic's going to be bad. And then he literally said out loud, otherwise this doesn't affect me at all.
Did he have a profile picture?
Oh, his picture was up. His name was
TV.
there. He was on TV.
Oh, this was on TV?
He was on TV. He was interviewed on TV. Yeah, this doesn't affect me at all. Tell me.
He's in Romulus, for fuck's sake. It's not exactly. It doesn't have peak hour. I don't think.
But tell me about your privilege without telling me about your privilege, dude.
Oh my God.
It was amazing.
I hope he's already married, because if not, bro, that is a perfect demo reel for how not to get laid. Like, again,
Incel 101.
Once again, everybody taking themselves out the game. Everybody talking about people ain't having babies, but everybody keeps eliminating themselves.
This
I don't
doesn't
know.
affect me, so I don't care.
That's just ridiculous. Listen, the government cannot control who people sell their private property to. Let's just, again, as much as we can disagree, in on the political side of it, that is the economic truth, going back to your point of the economics of it all. The thing that continues to, I think, concern me is that you don't buy massive holding cells and warehouses to deport people, because that process is fairly quick when you want it to be quick. And it does raise up all of the red flags conceivable that they are buying these massive warehouses nationwide to hold people in.
I will tell you, though, that Representative Shri Thanadar has started an online petition against this ICE facility in Romulus, which is fine. But what everyone needs to know about these petitions is they're basically him just grabbing your email address. Such an opportunist.
But he is. But again, but also in the political game, optics is reality, right? And he is taking advantage of the moment politically. And I'm sorry
and
to
his hair.
Many of, I would say, potentially the more progressive tract. He's beating y'all to the punch.
Yeah. He really is.
He's beating y'all to the punch. He is getting out there and getting in front of folks. And, that's not a endorsement or whatever. That guy?
Here's his direct, this is his direct
he
quote.
looks nice.
My biggest fear is if a bunch of protesters start blocking the street out there, how am I going to get to work and get her, his child, to daycare? Outside of that, I don't think it's really going to affect me.
Bruh, you know what? Get your little black blue and stay in the house.
He
Shut
looks
up.
like some of the people you had on your dating profile.
No.
All he was missing was the wraparound mirrored shades.
Stop.
That's all he was missing.
Gas station Sunny.
The gas station shades. That's all he was missing.
I will say though that the reporting was hilarious because of course they wanted to get both sides, right? So they ended up interviewing Sonny Reddy, who is he's the co-chair of the Michigan Republican Party, and he was all about it, right? Like he's all about illegal aliens, including murderers, rapists, pedophiles, gang members. So he's doing the whole party line, and
I'm sure it's going to be filled to the rafters with pedophiles and fucking. No, only if they put it in DC.
Right.
But my question is,
Sonny,
actually,
you got to be careful. You don't end up in there. You're an immigrant.
Right, because we see what this is doing for Representative Tom Massey, right? In terms of him standing against the Republican Party. Wouldn't it behoove you, if you actually want to become the darling of potentially both parties, right? Or potentially
The Liz Cheney.
Yeah, potentially the Liz Cheneys of the world and the vast majority of the Democratic voter bloc. Wouldn't it kind of behoove you to be the conservative person who's like, actually, this sucks, and I'm going to stand against it? Like, wouldn't it not
don't wanna get
actually
primaried.
be but it depends on what kind of, if you're in a purple district, you win.
Yeah.
So
I don't know everything. That's why I'm asking.
Sonny
it to
Reddy,
the universe.
he's just the co-chair of the party.
Well, I know
so
that.
he doesn't have to run unless it's base stuff.
But I'm just
He doesn't
curious.
care.
Do you guys think that could potentially be a thing?
I think there is a part of that. What I will say to you, and this is going to lead us to our next conversation, is that we've recently run some ads for anti-ICE stickers online. And I've had the great pleasure, because I hate myself so much. My self-hate is so fucking high. I've had the pleasure of having to go through all the comments.
Oh, no.
And that has, I thought the same thing, Norris. Honestly, up until 2 weeks ago, I would have thought, you know what? I think a majority of Americans are very anti-ICE. They're not happy with what's going on. They're starting to move, right?
Oh, but you were in Whoville, though. This is the worst place in the internet.
Before she reads these comments, I do need to say that I go on Nextdoor from time to time. I don't keep social media on my phone. So I'll just fuck around on Nextdoor if something pops up. And the amount of vitriol that's on Nextdoor.
Yeah, but that's how people can anonymously kick out racism, but only to the people around them.
No, it's bad, man.
I feel like outside of our bubble, quite honestly,
Yeah.
I would love to think that people have humanity, but I think that there is a portion of a lot of these people who are too embarrassed, honestly, if you're sitting in front of someone to say, yeah, fuck them, just,
Lock them up.
Lock them up
Right.
and send them away, throw away the key. But I would say to you, I still think there's a majority of Republicans or MAGAs, basically, and even just Republicans who do think that, no, they don't deserve to be here. And sure, I don't want them fucking dragged away.
Well, it still tracks at about 30%.
Yeah.
Mass deportation, support for mass deportation still hovers around 27 to 30%.
Yeah, it's a third of the
a
population.
third of the population is cool
Some
with it.
people are. Some of the comments I'm seeing are like, they're not going far enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are wild. But I would like to hear some of these
sadists.
comments.
Oh my God. So I've decided what I did. So as I said, we have these anti-ICE sticker ads that were around over the last couple of weeks. And I decided to rate these based on award them, basically. Just say, well
mock
done.
election
Superlatives.
style. Yeah, superlative.
Yeah. So first of all, I have for the best spelling, because this person, most of them are grammatically, their grammar is absolutely fucking terrible. Like there, like it's your. Like it's so confusing. And most of them can't spell, so it's kind of, that goes without saying. But this one, Elizabeth Green, thank you for the comment, Elizabeth. I gave her the best spelling award. Her comment was, the whole fan club is here. Welcome to the party, y'all. You're welcome to go fuck yourselves. The lube is on Mars.
Well, thanks for offering. Telling us where the lube was. Sounds like a party now.
Sounds like a P. Diddy party.
That's right. Maybe Elizabeth's been to the island. Good luck. I hope ICE takes you next, you pieces of shit, cheering this bullshit on. So that's
Sheesh,
Elizabeth.
man.
Yeah, she was cranky. She was really cranky. Now, Leonard Waugh. Leonard, I've given you the most removed from reality award. He said, you got me fucked up after all the dirt I've done in the past. I'm not filling out shit. You won't turn me into a gang member or a terrorist off my application. Hell, I'm not even from here. I was kidnapped, or at least my ancestors were.
All right, let me say this, because I know this is a black person. All right, I know for a fact, I don't even just by how this was structured, I know this is one of us. So let me say this. Bro, get off the internet. Put the phone down. Put the phone down right now.
Touch
because
grass.
whatever you're doing is not helping you. I implore you. I don't even care if you replace the phone with whatever drug of your choice, but do it now, because the phone is not helping you, my dog. It's not. It's not. Look, he says, I'm not. You ain't gonna turn me into a gang member or a terrorist. How would that happen?
This is a lot of paranoia on this post.
I was not aware that one could become a Crip from an application. I didn't know Crips had, you could fill out to be a Crip on Indeed. I didn't know you could do that. It's ridiculous.
It's the new recruitment policy.
And now I'm kind of like, this one I get, not sure exactly what you're talking about, mate. This is my comment about this fellow, Randy Nabosny. Now, Randy said, how a out, I think he meant how about, but he left the B out. How a out, abolish low-life scum traders and illegal lovers and breeders.
Wow.
He was not happy.
Is he talking about like people or like dog breeders? Like,
Why don't you reach out to Randy and see what he wants?
that? First of all, let me.
The dog whistles
Yeah.
there, like illegal lovers and breeders. That's fucked up. Like,
Imagine calling people an illegal lover.
but like, imagine being this
In
so full of
2026.
hate,
Yeah.
like that you're walking around this angry all the time. Imagine,
can't be.
I mean, that's insane.
I
Like,
can't be.
What happened to you? Were you touched in the Epstein Files?
I don't even think it's you know what? Because I asked that question to myself a lot, because I'm a pretty even-keeled person in life. And I just wonder, like, what is making you so upset? And usually from my research, my unempirical data that I have collected over many years as a black man in America, it usually boils down to two things. And that is you can't fuck who you want,
Yep.
and the people you want to fuck don't want to fuck you.
I was gonna say something about economy and like
No, it has not. No,
it's
because
just-
economics is only a vessel for you to be fucking on whoever you want to fuck on.
Okay.
So that's really it. You
Right.
know, like for real.
Like
If-
the owner of the Patriots and his wife is like super young.
exactly
Right. She
You
wouldn't
know,
be-
Yeah,
if
that's
you're
right.
83,
Fucking
if you're
him.
83 years old and a billionaire, the world is your oyster.
And he's a car dealership salesman. That is not happening. That same
Yeah.
transaction is not happening.
I'm telling you, for a lot of these dudes, now I can't speak for why some of the women are angry. I haven't done enough research.
They're bots.
But I can tell you.
Well, most
from-
of these are men. We only
Yeah,
had,
the
we
men.
only
Yeah,
had Elizabeth.
yeah. There's
so,
a lot of penis envy going on.
I do have one more because this is my favorite. I feel like I want to give this guy the All-Star Award. Particularly, he must be the only person in the world that's not heard of the Epstein Files. So I'm just going to put this down. Ted Jones. So his comment was, so anti-ICE equals protecting murderers, pedophiles, child traffickers, drug dealers, violent felons, etc.
Sir.
Okay.
Sir.
Excuse me.
Okay. I don't even have a response to that. After what we just talked about in this entire show,
I just want to remind everybody, I think part of this is these people are watching your boyfriend on TV and don't even know that the pedophilia
No, they're
stuff
watching
and
Fox
They're
News.
watching Fox.
Correct.
They're watching
That's what
something
I'm
even
saying.
further removed
They
from
are
reality.
so far away from knowing any of this shit is happening that they're fucking just this is
have
where
no-
they're at.
I think, and you know what,
Clue.
I think that's fairly fair in terms of how people get their information, because for me it was impossible, in my opinion, that somebody could just walk through life and be that low information. But I've realized again that there are a lot of people in this country that literally wake up in the morning, take their kids to school, go to work, go to happy hour, pick up their kid, maybe not in that order, but whatever, go to pick up their kid, go home, cook dinner, make dinner, eat dinner, and then maybe between the hours of 7 and 9, get a little bit of news in that
From their social feeds.
from
Yeah.
social feeds or Fox News, and that's it.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a little itty bitty block of time where people are probably not even actively sitting down and watch. They're passively just getting information every now and then. It took me a long time to really realize that there's millions of people functioning.
It's a
that
large
way.
swath of people who are
But the
low
system-
information.
But the system's been created to do that,
Yeah.
right? The system's been created to like have people peddling so fucking hard for survival that they don't have time to contemplate what's actually happening in society or in the news or or care about the system. They look at the system and go, well, it doesn't fucking work for me anyway,
Right.
right? So why should I
engage?
care?
So
Yeah,
why should I care?
This doesn't affect me.
Yep.
Directly. Yeah. I mean, this kind of brings it all back for me to the Epstein Files again. It was keep circling back to the fucking Epstein Files, unfortunately. So Norris and I have started watching the Top Model, America's Next Top Model
Okay,
doc.
Let me explain something to you. Top Model was at the time one of the most important TV shows in the world.
You have to watch. So you've never seen Top Model, Julie?
American Top Model.
Okay,
no. We
but
had an
did you
Australian version.
Okay, so you
I
had
mean,
an
Yeah.
Australian version.
It wasn't something. I'm not a big reality TV person, to be honest.
Okay.
This was the era
Yeah.
of reality TV.
Early
Yeah.
2000s.
And I
Yeah.
feel like I was kind of too old, if you know what I mean.
That's probably
yeah,
fair.
when you're in your 30s, it's like I'm not sitting at home watching
That's probably
fucking
fair. I'll
yeah.
just
I was
say
in
this.
college
TV.
when
I was
Top Model was on.
like just entering high school.
Okay.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, every dude of a certain age absolutely watched Top Model and Sailor Moon. I don't care what nobody
I watched
says.
Sailor Moon, too.
Every dude watched them because
Sailor
it's hot
Moon is
girls.
very specific.
No, if you are a
Okay.
millennial man, you watch Sailor Moon.
Okay, well, I
Anyway,
watched
the
Sailor
point
Moon
is,
as well, and I'm not a millennial man, but I'm a millennial.
the point is, this Top Model documentary came out, and it brought up a lot of connections that previously didn't connect until fairly recently.
Well, because of the Epstein Files, right? So the Top Model documentary is on Netflix. Go check it out. It's kind of similar to the Biggest Loser documentary. And I'm watching this last night. I've gotten through 2 episodes. I'm already fucking appalled because I'm remembering these specific episodes. It has not aged well, right? Like we're talking about women and body image issues and sexual assault. And, you know, Tyra Banks is on there saying that she set out to kind of change what the modeling industry was and the types of bodies. But you're watching it and you're like, no. These women are all still stick
Rail
thin,
thin.
still being told that they either look too old, that they're too fat, that they're this, that, and the other thing. And it was traumatizing for me to watch this shit because as a person who was in my 20s when this came out, all of this culture is surrounding us at that point. We're not even thinking about it. And then I start making these connections. And I'd seen some things on the gram about Leslie Wexner And he was called out in the Epstein Files. So he was the head, or he still is, I don't know. He's the head of L Brands. And if you're not familiar, L Brands is like Victoria's Secret, Abercrombie, Limited 2, The Limited, like younger people brands that they weren't they like adding things onto people's asses on the Victoria's Secret?
Like that was the pink brand. The
right?
whole pink brand just pink on a girl's butt.
Right. I mean, everybody knows about Abercrombie and the horrible shit they were doing to people and models and the abuse that they were going through, right? So these are things that are in the zeitgeist. These are things that are in the culture. The younger, the better. The thinner, the better. And this fucking dude, was listed as a co-conspirator as recently as 2019 in the investigation with Jeffrey Epstein.
So the only way I know Lexner is because I've watched a lot about. He was basically the person that the sidekick for Epstein.
Well, he put Epstein on.
Correct. He was like the
put him on.
financier. He basically got him all of his jobs. So that's how I know him. So I wasn't familiar with the connection to model,
so
top model.
But like, I mean, you're thinking about like at that time, if you're in the zeitgeist, these are the people you're seeing who are running the fashion brands. And if you're a young 15, 16-year-old girl, you're essentially being groomed in the culture by this.
Yeah, I mean,
shit.
like this stuff was like inextricable, right? Like you would see Top Model, you would have the billboard for Top Model right next to the Victoria's Secret in the mall, which was right next to the Limited 2, which was across the hall from the Abercrombie. So it was like this sort of perfect circle, if you will, of like, here's what young girls should be doing and should look like. And it was quite jarring to even me as a young dude, because that wasn't pushed on us in any real conceivable way. Like the most we were told to do is don't be too nerdy. But even the nerd can win if you just are persistent.
Right. But there's like this hypersexualization of young girls at that time. So you've got Top Model. You had Britney Spears being 16 and doing the Hit Me Baby One More Time.
Yep.
Christina Aguilera, all of them coming out. And this was, my time of coming up. And you start to look back on it and you're like, oh yeah, this is why sexual assault was like, no, you weren't sexually assaulted. Like look what you were wearing. You were asking for that kind of shit. So I was kind of triggered watching Top Model last night. A few other things about Mr. Wexner here. Apparently the Limited planes, so the aircraft, their former L Brand CFO reportedly told the FBI in 2019 that company aircraft were used in the 90s to transport young girls from Mexico to the United States. Wexner's team's denying this. And then private model viewings. A witness statement in the Epstein Files alleges Wexner and Epstein attended private viewings where models, some who appeared under 18, wore only swimsuits or lingerie.
See, you can't accuse me of that. This is what I'm saying. Like, there are things that you could go back through my entire life. Me, as an almost 40-year-old man, you go through my whole life. You can't accuse me of that.
No.
Like, there are certain things you can't accuse me of. If the fact that somebody could sit back and say, more than once, your airplanes were being used for XYZ, it just continues to confound me how, again, we are severely underreacting to what is going on.
And if you want another reason to hate Ohio,
I mean, fair.
Gina's not here.
I know. Sorry, Gina. If you want another reason to hate Ohio, Wexner's from Ohio.
Yes, he donates heavily to Ohio State University.
The Ohio State.
I'm not doing that.
Fuck those guys.
I'm not doing that. Yeah, the medical center's named after him.
Right. So all these folks in Ohio who he's given money to are like, oh shit. They're scrambling to give it back. I guess there was a closed door deposition on Wednesday of this guy. Instead of having it in DC, though, they like made it very accommodating for him and did it at his mansion.
Oh, that's so nice.
Could you imagine that?
Yeah.
That
We're gonna come to
the
you,
U.S.
honey.
government is going to accommodate me. No, you come to me.
They wouldn't
Right.
fit in my place. My house is too small.
But like,
so-
it's the absurdity of it all. It's just
We
it's-
come to
it's-
you.
Yeah,
Because you're rich and have a mansion.
it's
And,
disgusting.
and also, who has a mansion in Ohio?
many people,
Well, many
probably.
people.
But it's-
Dave Chappelle has a mansion in Ohio.
Who does?
Dave Chappelle.
Oh, well, I mean, Chappelle is okay.
Yeah, but he's got. I'm just
There's
saying.
lots of mansions in
There's lots of.
Ohio.
There ain't nothing else in Ohio. It's just mansions, Cedar Point, and Columbus. That's it.
Well,
Can I pivot it for a minute?
Sure.
I want to add my Gen X and what I was watching.
Yes.
For the Gen Xers out there, I was kind of like, it was President's Day this past Monday, obviously. And I saw a clip on Instagram because I've spent way too much time on social media this week, which is starting to mess with my brain, Norris, about basically referring back to Sex and the City, and that was very firmly.
I watched that too.
I watched that too.
But I was like in my 30s.
You were
right?
like
So,
living it as
living
the
that's
show
right.
was.
It's kind of like
it was just aspirational for.
Yeah, that's right. So, and I saw that they did a clip of Samantha from Sex and the City and her talking about presidents. And I thought, this is so fucking relevant. She basically says, and I'm just sort of summarizing here, America needs fuckable presidents. Look at Nixon. No one wanted to fuck him, so he fucked us all. And I listened to that and thought, that's so true. I'd forgotten about that, but it's so true. Yeah, once again, we've got an unfuckable president.
I wonder
and
if
here we are being fucked.
I wonder if we could do like a non-scientific study on the handsome scale of presidents and how successful they were.
And how successful the country was.
And how successful the country
was,
is.
if we're going to go base it on GDP.
Yeah, because
Okay.
it's like, we get, we'll say like, okay, you got the Obama, Kennedy, like I'm thinking, Clinton, think of people. No, people thought Clinton was attractive back
I
then.
know.
He was attractive back then. You were too young
I was
to
very
appreciate it.
young.
Back in the day,
when he
people
was
thought
president.
Clinton was attractive.
Yeah, he was-
Economy great. People thought Obama was attractive.
What about
Economy
Reagan?
great.
Was Reagan a thing? Because he was an actor.
Reagan.
he wasn't.
He was already old though.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, he was stately. He looked
He was stately, but he was
no Trump.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is a particular
But you had Clinton, like we
unfuckability.
had the 90s, like the
This is
peak
why-
of our culture.
That's why everyone loves Gavin Newsom, because it just needs some hot white guy to come save the day.
It's seeming like there may be some science behind
I wonder
this.
if we
I
should
don't
do
know.
some unscientific stuff. Anyway, well, I loved Sex and
That
the City.
just means if AOC is president, that we'll be in utopia.
Oh,
because
you're
my
right.
God.
She's gorgeous.
I'd fuck her.
But you're absolutely right. Sex in the City, like peak awesome. It hasn't aged as well either.
course
And
not.
everybody kind of hated the reboot, but we don't need to get into
Whatever.
that.
I don't
But
care.
I think this is like, it's important, right? Like Sex in the City was kind of panned by people because they were like, oh, they're showing women in their sexual prime
And they were
and they were swearing and they were, that was very revolutionary for the late 90s.
my only thing was that Carrie had the craziest apartment on a writer's salary, and that shit is just not reality.
Well, I always just love that. It's kind of like Emily in Paris, right? Where she's always got these outfits,
Yeah.
but she's got this very small closet. And
no,
you're
but
like,
that
where's
makes,
the clothes going?
No, but that makes more sense because she works in that industry, so she probably gets a bunch of free stuff.
I guess. Anyway, we digress.
We flew off the rails.
Sorry,
Completely
guys.
went off the
All my
rails.
fault.
But I think it's also something I put in the notes today is that I've never been so relieved that there isn't much news. The fact that NPR has reported on Obama saying he believes in aliens from other worlds is a thing, and that broke through into the news cycle this week. I was like, wait, what? And then he had to issue like a statement about his statement about aliens. That's freaking wild to me.
Listen, I've always felt like the universe is way too big for it to be just us. Like, if it's just us, that would really suck. So I feel
That's what he
like
said.
there's got to be more. Listen, the president isn't going to know everything. There is a concept of plausible deniability.
But if anybody's gonna know,
But if anybody's gonna know, it's gonna be the president. Now, he did say they not locked up in Area 51.
yeah.
He did say, like,
Sure.
he tried to massage the situation and say, like, it's not what you think it is. So is the reptilians, is they for real walking among us? Is that what we got to worry about?
This is maybe what we got in charge right now. The reptilians.
I don't know, man, but listen.
Maybe that's gonna be the next thing.
You know what? If you take nothing else from today's episode, maybe there are reptilians is what we should take from this episode of Point of Disorder. But with that, we're going to end today's show, and we are going to bid you adieu, but don't forget to follow us on all of the social medias. Again, at Point of Disorder on YouTube, Facebook, all that good stuff, at Distill Social and at The Guerrilla Politic. And don't forget also, we will be at the State of the Union next week, where we're going to be talking to lawmakers and other movers and shakers in Washington about all the craziness that's going on, as well as witnessing the speech itself. We'll be in Washington recording our next episode from there. So if you have questions that you want asked of your electeds, let us know, and maybe your question can make the cut.
And if you don't want to watch the speech yourself, because why give that motherfucker any more ratings? y'all have all the hot tips and
We will.
and goss afterward, as my kids would say.
And get your friends to listen to the podcast next week if they haven't listened before, because they might be interested in the State of the Union as well. So and our takes. They will be gossipy and fun.
Yeah,
I promise
it should
that.
be fun.
Gina will be back for that one.
Yes.
Should be very excited.
All right, everyone. We'll see you next Thursday.
Bye.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of Point of Disorder. We'd like to extend a huge thank you to everyone who listened today. And if you like us, give us a like, a subscribe, or a review on any place you get your podcasts. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Distill Social and at The Guerrilla Politic. This is the Point of Disorder podcast, signing off. Stay sharp, stay progressive, and above all, stay tuned.